Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we take a look at Arborea by Alicat Games and designed by Danny Garcia. This is a worker placement or villager placement game where the you need to recreate the biodome. You need to recreate this environment that has been destroyed, and to do that, you send your villager to explore the nature, capture new creature, and also ask help from gods of nature that can give you special bonuses. Now let's go and see how it plays, and then let's come back and see what I think about it.
This is the game of Arborea. A big cataclysm happened and destroyed the nature, and what you want to do is send your villagers to restore the ecosystem, have several creatures to bring your ecosystem, and use all your villagers to explore in the nature and also give rewards to the gods to help you achieve your mission. So this game you're gonna send villagers, and there's a concept of time expressed in the games where the more time you spend, the more those bonus you're gonna receive. The game you see here is set up for two players, and it includes the river expansion that you can find in the Kickstarter version here at the bottom of the main board. You place here the resources, also Kickstarter edition. Then you're gonna place the two tokens, and you're gonna place this additional token here in the center for the water or river expansion. Then you're gonna set up your time markers that will trigger the end of the game here at the top. And then you have the top, you're gonna have also the creatures. Again, on the one on the very right are the creature that you find in the Kickstarter edition. Okay, so the third one is here. These three are not present on the retail edition, but the game is really more or less the same. So as soon as you organize the first player, you will place the token right here. The first player is going to be placed here at 0 spirits, and then the next player is going to be placed at 2. Or if you have multiple player, you have here the icon indicating where the token needs to be placed. Then you have also this disc to indicate the points. You have the cubes that for the season tracks that will give you multipliers. Very important to do that. And then if you have the river expansion, you're gonna put the boats on the track right here. Whoever is first will have the boat further. Whoever is last or after that will have the boat after that. Tokens are placed. These tokens here are randomized, so every game is going to be different. You're going to put the tracks also randomized. You're going to have a special tracks if you have the expansion. Here you can see an example with this little green token there shown in the picture. Here at the top, as I said, is the time tracker. You're going to have two discs at the end to give two full turns to all the players, and this token is going to be placed based on the number of players. In this case, for 2 players, I'm going to place it here, and this is going to be the timer of the game. You're going to also place tokens, bonus tokens randomly at the beginning for each creature that you receive. Then to finish the setup, we're going to take this card, a red card, and give it to each player. Let's take a look at the setup for a player. You're gonna have the player board. At the bottom, you're gonna have two elder villagers and one young villagers. Then you're gonna have the three veterans over here and other two young villagers there. Then all the cubes are gonna be there, and one card is gonna be on the top left spot. You can see there are only 3 slots for each card. Then you're gonna draft a starting card of your biomes. They look like this. The front and the back they are the same. That's how you can differentiate the initial card. You actually need to draft it. I sometimes just give it randomly, especially when players don't have it and never played it before, so you can do that very easily, I think. And finally, the last part of the setup is taking one of your elder villagers and placing in one of the track. Where do you place every time a villager on the track? You place it underneath this icon there. You see the red arrow indicates that you can place your elder villager there. So you're going to place it there and immediately you move a track. Bear in mind when you do this, there's not getting off of the track at the beginning of the game. This is only for setup. And this is done by every player. And so sometimes the track can play and move multiple times and you will get a reward if you will unlock a reward like the one that you see here on the left. The yellow pawn has been placed and the blue reward can be triggered. We're going to see later what that means. The one thing that I like about this game is that at the bottom right of the board you can find the breakdown of the turn. So the first thing action you can take is either move the track or place a villager. Move the track, you place a villager. You can do an additional one if you spend 2 spirits in a 2-player game or 3 spirits in a 3-player game. Remember, you can do they don't have to be the same. You can do multiple times. In the same action, the second action is to activate 2 villagers down the path. You can activate a third one if you spend 2 spirits. Then you can use resources to claim biomes, and then you place your biomes and your creature if you have taken some, and then any track of your color or where your villager is will move by 1 if you have a black drawn villager, or by 2 if you have a veteran village. This is a way to move the track very fast, and also in this occasion your villager can get off of track and go into a path. That's also very important to remember. Go through a third of a player. So you take one of your villager, in this case we have a young villager, and you for example decided to place it on a path. You see here the icon that indicates where you're gonna place it, and then you cover this yellow symbol there that will see that will score you some additional bonus or move you down this track than there. That's one action. You see in the track you can do only one, but if I spend 2 spirits I can do an additional one. It doesn't have to be the same one. I can place a villager or can move a track. For example, in this case I decide to move a track. When you move a track, you can unload your villagers as well as opponents on that track can unload their villagers. One thing to notice is now that the track has moved, now the bonus on the track when you place a villager has changed. Now you can gain a new animal, a new creatures over there. And we're going to talk about those a little bit later. These are part of the expansion. So if you don't have it, probably because it's the retail edition, but that's fine. Back to our turn, because the track that moved, now we can decide whether to unload our villager and go through the path or not. So in this case we decided to do so. You can decide above or below the track. In this case we decide to go above, and that's end of step 1. In step 2 we can activate 2 villagers for free, and so we're gonna see what how this turn is gonna go. So we need to have a villager first of all on the path, and we just did that, and we're gonna walk through the path activating all these icons, and we can do up to 2 times in a turn. We're gonna discuss what each action or icons does later in this video. At the end, you take your villager and goes back to the player board. Now, depending on the type of the villager, like in this case, you have a young villager, will go back to here. If you have a veteran, will go on top right, and then if you have an elder, will go on the bottom. The elders are those that are easier to use. Then step 3, you're gonna use your resources. In this case we don't have resources, but let's imagine that we have some resources. For example, here we have 3 of these red resources, so we in step 3 we could utilize those resources to complete our biomes. You see here we have 3 red resources in our biome. We use them all, so we bring it back to 0 and we complete this card. On the top you get some bonuses. We're gonna go to the icon later, the meeting, and then when you complete the biomes you place on the right side of your player board, and we're gonna go and discuss the card anatomy later on in this video. So step 3 is done. Step 4, we need to take any card that we have completed in your biomes and we locate it on our environment ecosystem, in our ecosystem. Now how the cards are placed we'll discuss later again in this video. This is just to give you an idea of the turn breakdown. And if we add taken some animals during this phase, so during our turn, we can place our animals in our ecosystem, and we take one from the right side. And if you have one creature or animal in captivity, so you see this little pen means that you have an animal in captivity. We'll see why you have an animal in captivity later. You can place also that creature on your ecosystem on the same round. That's the only way you can take a creature from the captivity and place in your ecosystem. Our turns ends by moving any tracks having our villagers on top of them, and they're gonna move by one if we have a villager with a black printing, meaning elder or young, will move by one. But let's assume you had a track with a veteran, so you have the white drawn villager. In that case, the track will move by two. But what it does is, in addition to whatever you have on top of the track. So in this case, you have two villagers. You have one veteran, one elder. So the elder will move the track by one, the veteran by two, so a total of three. In this case, you expose this icon here, and this icon means that you need to place the most external track back to cover the four initial spaces. And any villager on top of that have to get off. They can get off at the above the track or below the track. And when you let the villager get off, they can get off on the same matching path or anyone before that path. And this is counts for any villager that is present in the track. Let's imagine that we have this red villager on top of this track, and we just moved the track for the yellow player. So any player that has a villager on that track can decide to unload it, and the red one can decide to go either above and below the track, so here or here, but also anything before, so any other track on the left. So the idea is that you explore, you go along your path, so you can just go and explore what you have already seen. Anything on in the front of the villager is not seen, is not known, so they cannot explore it further. So now that we've seen how a turn works, let's see what the icons do. This is all about the icons and what kind of action you can take. You see the board is full of icons. You also will notice why the more you play, you will see that some type of action can be in specific path in a specific region, especially for resources, but I'll let you explore on that. Now we are gonna see each one of them what it does, and you will find yourself it's very self-explanatory. You see this color picture here, the purple, the blue, the red, the orange, these are the resources. So if you have a villager pathing, for example, here and going down and then passing these three pink resources, what this player is going to do is going to increase the only the half top part of the market track above by 3. So 1, 2, 3. And we have that. Let's imagine he had other villagers that moved, and then we have this kind of situation. When you gather resources, you move the top half, and you're gonna have this situation right here. One cool thing about this game is that resources are shared. So when you go into step 3 to claim your biomes, you can use resources that have been gathered by other players. So this is a very interesting mechanic. You share resources. But also it's very beneficial if you don't spend all the resources that you have gathered. Let's assume you are in step 3 and you want to claim a biome. So you see the pink, the orange, and the blue are resources that you've gathered. The green one that is closed is a resource that's been gathered by someone else. You spend them. For example, you can use water, which is wild. You spend some pink, and then you claim your biomes. You see that the other resources have half separated and also have these blue numbers there. These are victory points. The resources that you don't spend during your game but you have gathered will give you victory points. So 3 victory points for the pink, 5 victory points for the orange, and then whopping 6 victory points for the water that you do not utilize. So there's this very interesting mechanic in this game. You gather resources for cards, but also you want to gather resources for points, but those resources that you've gathered and you get your points, they may give biomes to opponents. Very cool idea. And remember, the water is a wild resource that can only be utilized when the other resources are at zero, meaning if you want to replace the red with the water, you can do it because it's at zero. If you want to replace the orange with water, you cannot do it. You need to spend first orange and then water if necessary. Now let's take a look at these icons with the creatures and the sun. When you go there, you first of all you move the sun track, so it's the timer of the game. Remember that. So the more people trigger this action, the faster the game is gonna end. And then you take the corresponding creature for the little box, for example the fox, and you're gonna place it on the toppest or highest available spot on this table. If it's the first creature, you also get the bonus on the tile. And the bonus on the tile, I'll let you explore what they means. If the bonus is not present, you will get the bonus printed on the board underneath. In this case, are victory points. Then, if you pass the paw, this is to capture a creature. So if you pass one of this, you can get any creature available on the board, not on the box. So then they have to be first present on the board. So the yellow player, for example, decided to pick this green fox and will get the reward on the top right that you see they are matching the line. This will give you, for example, spirit. That's what that symbol means. Then you take your creature, you put on the top right of your player board. As I said, if that token has been placed and another animal comes, you will take the points underneath. And then if there are more animals on the column, you're going to place it in a descending fashion. Another action you can take is this little sachet with the arrow down. This is to give a gift to a sage. I've been calling it gods, but this is actually sage that help you restore the ecosystem, and they give you boons every time. So you take a cube from your player board and you place anywhere on the board. If there's nothing at the background of the sachet, you can place in any sage available here at the board. And also the re-expansion has one of them. So you take your cube and you, for example, you place it here number one, saying that you are gifted only once to this sage. You see there are some icons that tell you to give a gift to a specific sage. We see the icon at the back. In this case, it matches this one. So if I complete that card, I can maybe boost this by 2 or 3 times. You don't increase the number of cubes on the sage, you just move it above the number or ascending number. Then another action is this one here, that it triggers the gift that you're given to a sage when you have the lightning bulb. So fresh arrow down to put a gift, lightning bulb to activate. Let's see that we have 2 gifts given to this sage, so we can take 2 bonuses or 2 extra action from this sage here. And the iconography is very similar to what you find in the board. So here we have, for example, the yellow player has triggered this icon, has 2 gifts to this sage, so can take 2 action shown here on the side of the stage. The action have to be different, so it cannot repeat the same action, and so you can get resources, you can upgrade or promote one of your young villagers or place a villager on the track. The 4th one can only be triggered by a small villager. So the elders are bigger, the small ones, so veterans or young villager, can be utilized to trigger the 4th gift. This is the most boring one, which basically refresh all the mark of the cards. Remember, you don't have to do all the action, so this one often is skipped. The green arrow means you draw a card. You can take any top card of any deck and you place it on the top of your board. Remember, you can only have 3 cards incomplete. And there's no punishing if you have incomplete cards at the end of the game. These icons are pretty self-explanatory. The white one arrow down means you promote a veteran, so now you can utilize. This is the young villager that you can utilize. Let's go here at the board. You can see you can find the matching icon on your player board, so this one will promote a veteran, so you can use it next turn. And now remember, only the villager at the bottom of your board can be placed on the main board, and the black one with the arrow pointing down is promoting a young villager. This icon here we already seen, it gives you spirits. The red one gives you or removes you spirits. So purple gives you plus spirit, or the red one gives you negative spirits. This one here, that you see this circle, are the season. Every time you land there, you move your cube by one space up on this track, and these are multiplier for the end game scoring. Very important, don't forget those. No, you have a multiplier by 0 if you don't have even a cube going upwards. So for this icon, I'll let you go on the rule book. It's very self-explanatory. This symbol here tells you that you cannot multiply more than 8 times. So meaning the highest score that you can do is 8 times 6, so 48.
If you have the Kickstarter edition, you're gonna have the Midnight River expansion that you can see here at the bottom. What it does is, first of all, for setup, you need to place this token right there that will move the boat by 3 spaces, and then you will place the boats in the player order. So we're gonna have the yellow player first and then the red one afterwards. The boat will move every time you move a track on your turn. So here you have the reminder, so anytime you move a track with your little guys, you will move also the corresponding boat. Other things that expansion brings are these tiles that allow you to take animals like the bright sprite. Here, this is the bright sprite, then you have the dark sprite, and also you have the fish right there. So now let's take a look how the board moves, or what you're gonna do on the board. You're gonna see here the board doesn't have anything special, just the boat will move very fast, and eventually you can get, for example, at the end if we wish. And on your turn, among the two moves or workers that you can do, you can choose to move the boat. So this counts among the movements of the 2 free movements, and you're gonna take the bonuses here. So here is how you get the fish. Then here you're gonna move any cube on the season track, and here you're gonna give a gift of your choice. Then you have 2 possible routes. You can take the fastest one, which doesn't give you any bonuses if you wish, or you can go here, lose 4 spirits, and then activate the stage that you have over here. You can see basically that when you give a gift to this stage and then activate immediately. This is one of the few tracks that can give that, and those bonuses are very self-explanatory. Let's take a look at the anatomy of the card. At the bottom we have the resources that are required to make these biomes. We have 4 reds and 1 green. The only thing we don't know is how they are arranged at the back, and we cannot take a look. When we eventually complete the card, we see that we have 4 reds and 1 green, and whatever remaining is all gonna be a stone. How we place a card? We can place a card like this, but we cannot tuck it underneath. Another thing that we cannot do is place it diagonally. So the allowed positions are side by side, like in this way, as long as one square matches, or we can also tuck it or place it on top. Even if we have an animal, like in this case, we can place these cards fine in this way. Let's take a look at how we place an animal. So let's say we have this animal here, and we want to place this guy here. So if we want to place it, it's a very good position is going to be here. You have a reference card to see what's the best place to place these animals, and then it's over here. You can see how they score, and the rule book gives you very good information how to do that. So I'll let you to explore by yourself. So this is a fine location. You place these creatures where the circle is, so we can place it right here. We cannot place if the quadrant, the 4 squares, are not complete. If we take another creature, for example, like this one, we cannot place it like that. In our orthogonal position, we need to have 1 circle at least to separate. So the second fox is not, or the second green animal is not allowed. It's not allowed even to be placed here. There are not enough spaces, not allowed even there. So we cannot place this animal in a allowed fashion. Let's say that we have more cards. Let's place this card over here, like in this way. And now we take this animal here to allocate. For example, this little spider, we can place it there diagonally. We don't need to have any circle between animals, so they can stay closer together. So this one cannot be placed here. We are not allowed to place it here, not there, not there, not there, not there, but we can place it right there. Diagonally will be just fine. So this is a placement rule for these kind of creatures. They are not placed in the circle. They are placed right in the center of the square. So if we are dealing with the dark sprite, you can place the dark sprite anywhere except in waters and in stones. So that would be okay. Obviously, then the dark sprite doesn't really want to be close to the animal. The quadrant of the animal will give you negative points. The bright sprite you can place anywhere you want it, or better, you can place in any stones that you want it, because that will make a matching the same type. So in this case, we're going to have 3 reds for that animal. And finally, we have the fish. The fish goes into the water. That's very self-explanatory, and multiplies all the waters. So that's a very powerful card that you want to have. So for these animals that you find in expansion, there are no very strong limiting rules. Just the dark sprite, no water or stone. The bright only into the stones. Then when we have all our turns they taken, the sun eventually will get to the end and we pick that up. And so we have there 2 final full turns for all the players. Every time the player will trigger the end of the game, will take a sun, and then we'll go to score the points. We'll score negative points for any animals that we have in our captivity. We score points for our spirits, positive or negative. You see here on the board we have negative points if your spirit is too low, and we have positive points here in the bracket area. Then we're going to score points based on the multiplier that you find on the season track. Then we're gonna go all the scoring points for the animals, and I'll let you do this. The rulebook does a very good job. And then here at the bottom you have the reminder how the animals in expansion scores, and also their placement rules. Very good reference. This game is by far the most played games in my last 2 months. I really want to go back and play it over and over. There's something to discover, some new strategies to discover, and also, yes, it's very strategic, but also offers some tactics. You need to pivot on your plan based on how the board evolves, based on what kind of resources you have, based on where the opponents have placed their villagers on the track, because your villager may move further. You may have some unlocked bonuses that you can take, or you may see that the villager is going to take that creature that you want to take, or may trigger the end of the game. Very, very cute, very, very fascinating. Those bonuses at the bottom, they are very juicy. Many people ignore that, or maybe they don't focus, and you want that multiplier for each of the season a little bit higher, as much as possible. These multipliers are huge. Yes, placing the cards and having the animals on the floor is not really mind-blowing. The scoring of the animals is not anything very incredible, but the whole game is so intense. I really, really like it, and every time I present to someone else, people enjoy that. Yes, the icons are a little bit small, and the fact that the board is long, it's in one direction, make a little bit awkward on the table. But if you can pass that, it's amazing. The expansion that you see is very easy to throw in, but this is only in the Kickstarter edition. But if you don't have it, that's fine. What we noticed that the expansion makes the game faster. You have that boat moving faster, triggering more bonuses, and so getting more stuff, and so eventually the end of the game will arrive soon. The game is a little bit slow at 2, or less, or better, the first turns at 2 are a little bit boring, I would say. No, you place most of your villager, you pass because you want that track to move. While with the other opponents, that tracks move way faster, so it's more dynamic. I found myself sometimes in like in a bad situation at the very end because you don't really know when the game ends uh, arrives. Sometimes there's like turns, like a player start having all those creatures and move the sun very quickly and bam, end of the game. So be ready for that. I like that. I like that tension. I like, can I do a little bit more? Is someone else gonna push to the end of the game? You never know. And I really, really like that. Overall, it's an excellent game. I think it's one of the best games I play in 2024, and I really want to recommend it to everyone. This is gonna be in my collection. I like the art. I like really, really like everything about this. So this is Arborea. Leave in the comment if you play, what you think. Let me know if you share the same opinion, if you have a suggestion for maybe the next game that I can review, or perhaps should I try the other Alicat game? They are also very interesting in Europe as far as I know. And so that's it. Thank you very much. If you like the video, don't forget to click below, subscribe, and also check my Instagram account. I have lots of pictures there. I post very often, and also give you some suggestions on what to see on Kickstarter, and also some small review. Check my Patreon for special content, and share everything that you have seen so far with your friends. You know the drill. That's not your first YouTube video, am I right? Thank you very much, and see you next time. Ciao.